If you're using Apollo to find leads, you've probably run into this issue. There's missing emails, right? I just created a list here in Apollo. There's missing emails and then also invalid emails, right? They don't show up here yet, but you already know if you just download these emails, put them into your cold email tool, not all of these will actually deliver. That means you actually have fewer people to contact and more bounced emails. But there's a way to fix this and get even more leads than your competitors. So here's the issue. Apollo's great at finding contacts for your ICP, right? You basically just put in all of your information, the people that you want to reach, they appear right here. But some contacts have no email or they're just plain invalid. So most people stop here, right? They think, okay, well, Ronald here, they just don't have the email. I can't contact him. Oh, well, there's a few other people that I can message instead. I'm just going to lose out on this potential deal. But that is actually not the way to go. So just take those contacts without valid emails and upload them to our tool, Use Watson. So I'll show this to you guys in theory here first, and then also in practice. So what is Watson? Watson is our Waterfall enrichment tool. And what it does is it goes through multiple data vendors to find someone's email address. So this graphic here explains it. At the moment, most people that use a service like Apollo and just Apollo, they try and find a lead. If the data vendor doesn't have the email, oh well, that's what it is. If you upload a lead to Watson, it goes, checks the first data vendor. If they don't have the email address or if they don't have a valid email address, it then goes to the second, the third, the fourth vendor, and so on until it finds a valid email address. And at the moment we have 11 data vendors integrated and the number is still growing. So the data coverage here is much, much better and you can be pretty sure that you'll find an email address. So I downloaded this list here from Apollo and what we can see here, we have a lot of contacts, right? We have more than 6,000 contacts here. We have roughly 4,000 email addresses. So why is this the case? Because Apollo doesn't have all email addresses and Apollo then also doesn't have all valid email addresses. So I already filtered this through zero bounds to see which email addresses are actually already invalid. And what we then end up with here is a list of, let's just see how many there are without a valid email address here. More than 2,000 email addresses that we can see here. More than 2,000 email addresses. Contacts that we don't have an email address for. So basically these are more than 2,000 contacts that we can't get in touch with and that also your competitors are not reaching out to because Apollo just doesn't have their valid contact information. So what we can now do is take all of these contacts and upload them to our tool Watson here, which is very easy. All we need to have is the first name, the last name, and the company domain of the person. Upload the list here, and Watson will then try and find their email address. So, because this also takes some time, I've just created a sample here. We can then download the sample as a CSV file. First name, last name, company domain, that's all we need. Throw that in here. Looks correct. Upload it to the tool. And then click on Enrich. So Watson will take a bit of time. This process is not particularly fast. Why? Because as I showed, it has to go through many different data vendors and wait for them to return whether or not they have a valid email address. And then obviously we also have to do validation checks in between these steps, right? If a data vendor says, hey, we have the email address, but then we have to check if it's valid or not. And if it's invalid, we then have to say, sorry, invalid. We actually have to go to data vendor 2. So this might take a bit of time depending on how large your lead list is. This can take up to 3 hours. In our case here, it's going to be a lot faster. And we're back. So what we can see here is that the list has been enriched. We can see that of the 19 contacts that we uploaded, 15 have been found. So let's download this list here, open it here, and we can see these 15 emails are now people that we can reach out to and contact. And these are people that our competitors, if they're only using Apollo, which they most likely are, can't reach out to. So it's a real competitive edge. So if you would like to give Watson a try, feel free to sign up. We will give you 50 free credits to test out the tool, and otherwise the pricing is very reasonable considering how many different email finder providers are integrated into it. Thanks for watching.